big, bold, beautiful journey. As said, this stars Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie, and it is directed by a guy called Kogonada, who he directed a movie called After Yang, which I have reviewed before, and I spoke about how it was like this sort of weird little film about a Chinese android essentially, and in this film, it's I think to give you the idea of this film, everything I saw about this film, even the poster that Sean has behind his head right now, the color palette of it, the sort of like the trailer it's going. This film is going for quirky. This film is going for quirky, and I think that the film that immediately came to my mind that they were trying to emulate once I saw everything before I watched this film was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And when watching this film, that just became stronger that this is the film they're trying to emulate, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So you have Colin Farrell. You meet him at the beginning, and he's sort of like, leaving his house in some city. It's not named, but it looks very New York. It's a name, but it looks very much like it's New York. And he's going off. He's on his phone to his mom and dad, and he's going to a wedding. And he gets to a place. He can't drive his car for a reason that I think is kind of dumb. And I'll explain later, but like he can't drive his car for a reason I think is kind of dumb. And so he goes, and on the wall he sees this thing that says a car rental agency. So he goes to this car rental agency, which is like the weirdest kind of car rental agency you'd see. It's kind of like something out of a Wes Anderson movie. Like if you saw, it's a bit like that. Like he goes into this car rental agency, and this car rental agency has 2 cars in it, and it has this big, massive warehouse. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Kevin Kline are sat at a table, and they have this really, really weird conversation with him and everything like that, where he has a car, and then they say, "Do you want the GPS?" He's like, "No, I don't want the GPS." It's like, "Oh, you sure don't want the GPS?" "Oh, no, I don't want the GPS." "Oh, you really, really need the GPS." "Oh, what about your phone?" And it's kind of like a weird kind of thing. And it's one of these things where early on in the film, you either go with it and say, "Yes, I'm with this," or you're like, "What the hell is going on? I don't think I like this." I feel like it's a scene. It's kind of like, like a water test. Like it's gonna dunk you in the water, and you're either gonna jump out and yell and say nope, or you're gonna be like, "No, I'm here. I'm happy with the temperature." So he goes up to this wedding, and when he gets to this wedding, he gets introduced to this woman, Sarah, played by Margot Robbie. They sort of like flirt a little bit, but at the same time, they're kind of like, "Nah, this thing isn't going to work." And then when they leave the wedding and they're driving back, his sat-nav starts have a conversation with him and actually has his name. His sat-nav calls him David and says, "Take like the next exit, David," and all that. And it turns out that she's also gone to this car agency. She's gotten a car from there, and their sat-navs are essentially pushing them together to sort of like make them fall in love, pretty much. And so they end up driving, and the sat-nav says, "Stop here." They stop here. They find a random door in the middle of nowhere, and then they walk into all these different doors, and these doors take them back to key moments of their lives. And like they're both walking through their own memories. There's a bit where Colin Farrell ends up. Sharon, you might like this. Colin Farrell ends up performing an entire number from the musical How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Because he's taken back to a time when he was in school and he was starring in that musical, and how that sort of like, affected his ideas about love and all that kind of stuff. So so you then essentially you get them working through their stuff as to why they should get together, why they shouldn't get together. And essentially the whole thing about them is are they going to get together? Are they going to work through their stuff? Are they going to get over themselves? And are they going to get together? That is what this film is. Now, I don't think this film has the right amount of whimsy that you need to pull this off. I feel like the film is a bit dull, it's a bit slow in places, and there are some things that just don't like. I remember in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I mean, you guys have seen it, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that film a lot. And I think it's because that film, it's sort of like, there's a fantastical element to it, but like the bits where it's grounded makes sense. But from the beginning, so the reason why he can't drive his car is because his car has been clamped. So his wheel has been clamped. And I'm thinking, call up the people and get your wheel unclamped and drive your car. It doesn't make sense to me that your wheel has been clamped, and therefore, because your wheel is clamped, you go rent a car and spend a lot more money. So straight away, I was like, what? And I'm like, I don't know what you. And so I feel like you have to allow a lot, and you have to suspend a lot, and you have to ask. There's so many questions you have to just not ask to get with the premise of the film. There's some bits of it that are quite good. There's some bits where they're walking through each other's memories that are quite good. But I feel like it's kind of straightforward. I feel like it's it's a romance, or it's a romantic comedy. I think it's very light on the comedy, quite frankly, and okay, cool, yeah. Let me put it this way: I'm watching this thing going, they're gonna work through their stuff and they're going to get together. That is it. And so, if you know that, is it saying anything else? And I'm not really sure it is. I mean, it looks good in places. There's some bits that are cool. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is kind of fun. Kevin Kline has like 5 words to say in the whole film, and yeah. So, all in all, I think this is a low 3. It's a low 3 because there's things I just don't think it flows. I don't feel like this film flows, and I feel like it shoots for something and I don't think it hits it. So it's a low 3. I've seen 2s in places and I totally understand. I totally understand that, but at the same time I'm like, what is Colin Farrell? It's Margot Robbie. They look good together. They kind of yeah. He dances and sings and does how to succeed in business without really trying. And I'm like, yeah, that bumps it up to a 3 for me, but I think for some people it might be a 2.
Right.
Yeah. So now let us go.
Probably not for me then, Little Toes. Probably not for me.
Sean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I sincerely doubt it.
Because I was like this. I was amming and ahhing, and I thought, don't know.
No, Sean. I think if it, let me put it this way, I would be interested to see what you thought. But if you were going to ask me, I think you would be huffing and puffing and going up and down, and you'd be looking at the screen going, "What the? Oh, for goodness sake! Why are you doing that? Oh, that's no great."
You always give good advice, so I take that.
Yeah.
You know me. You seem to know me, so I'm going to take that on good advice.